So let's see. Okay, there we go. All right, we're ready to start. So today's April 3rd, 2024. This is our Consortium of Cities. Boulder County and the Broomfield partners want to give everybody an opportunity to do some introductions. My name is Martha Luchman, Boulder County Commissioner. I'm happy to host. Thanks for being here in person and virtual. We'll try and be graceful so folks have to jump in and out, or somebody joins us after we do intros. We'll give them an opportunity to say hello. Agenda, I just sent Georgia and Nick. I just sent you what I thought I sent you a few hours ago. The update to the agenda, just for us on the facilitation side, so just know that that's in there. Coupled. Oh, okay.
Okay. You have the Zoom meeting. Is this a Zoom or a Teams?
Zoom. Would we, is anybody else, if there's anybody else in the chat that needs assistance, let us know, and then we'll kind of watch that too. You can join us at the table.
I don't want to take any seats.
There's plenty of seats.
Right. There will. Sit by me.
Okay, any other logistical pieces that I'm missing? Don't be shy. Okay. Okay. So this is our hybrid. And for those of you who haven't joined us here at the Southeast Lafayette, welcome. This is super important. I was just talking to our security that they're releasing an uptick in folks coming into the building, which is what we doesn't do any good in my one opinion. To have a gold certified building unless we have people coming to it program access to all the funding and all of the amazing programs that happen in Boulder with the partners that also allow you in here in their term. So I'm trying to give us a minute to make sure folks. So let's go on and we'll do our introductions. I'm going to start online and I'll need Nick's help. Okay. Let's do that. But I did see, yes, I saw Mayor, congratulations. We'll start with Mayor Brian. Do an introduction and just a reminder, if you can say your name, your title, and if your title doesn't indicate where you are originally, add that in there, just so that we all know who's in the room. And I appreciate everybody.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Holly Rogan, Mayor of Lyons, was reelected last night. Yay, thank you. It is a bit garbled to hear. At first, the audio sounded fine, but it sounds like, I don't know where the microphone is for this, but it seems to me like maybe when people turn their heads and talk, it's not picking it up or something. So just so you know that, and nice to see everybody on Zoom.
Thank you for that information. That's super helpful. And I'll try not to turn my head. All right. Can you help me on who? Oh. So next we're going to hear from, let's see here, Councilor Harrison, and then Peggy, and then Miranda.
Good evening, everybody. This is Town Councilor Harrison, Ari, just go by that, from Erie. Nice to meet you all, for who are new.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Sandy Hammerly, trustee from Superior.
Thanks for joining us. Peggy, are you able to come off mute and do an introduction?
Peggy Graham.
Thanks for joining us.
Miranda Fisher, Town Administrator, Town of Netherland.
Thank you for joining us. And then we'll hear from Councilmember Delgadillo, and then from Christine, and then from Alex.
Hey everyone, I'm Paloma Delgadillo. I am a city council member in Broomfield.
Thank you.
I missed it. Was I next? So
Yes, thank you.
okay. Christine Obendorf, Boulder County Public Works. I'm the Deputy Director of Engineering. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. I work in the City Administrator's Office for the City of Lafayette.
Thank you. And then we'll hear from Ken and then Colton.
Yeah, Ken Lenar, Secretary of Town of Jamestown.
Excellent.
Colton Coughlin. I'm an engineer with Public Works in Christine's team.
Thank you. We've got an iPhone, so if you want to come off mute, let us know who you are and where you're from.
Yeah, this is Julie Van Domlin from EFA, listening in for the minimum wage discussion. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us, Julie.
I just want to point out that the room is muted. I don't know if that is on purpose or not.
Thank you for that. To both of you, can you hear us now? Good. Tomahawk, Netherlands.
Oh, Sean McCoy, Longmont City Council. I need the agenda. Could that be sent to me? I'm trying to locate it. I was trying to think that it was sent to me by Mark, but it's not showing it.
Are there others who haven't gotten an agenda? There was an email that was sent out earlier this week by.
Yeah, probably because I went to look for Mark.
Me too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so N Robles at bouldercounty.gov.
Right.
Yeah, there should have been one last Thursday, and 2 weeks ago. And I would send it to you, but I can't, I guess I can't minimize if I'm recording.
Okay.
You're fine.
I found it.
Thanks for asking.
Hi, everybody. I'm Megs, she, her pronouns, and I am the Assistant to City Council for the City of Boulder. Hi, everyone. Taylor Ryman, also staff with the City of Boulder, she, her pronouns.
Thank you.
I'm Georgia. I'm the Harm Reduction Program Manager for Boulder County Public Health, she, her.
My name is Karina Molfezi, she, hers, a bilingual harm reduction outreach educator for Boulder County at the Works Program. Thank you.
I'm Saul Tapia Vega, City Council for Lafayette.
Thank you.
Nick Robles, Boulder County staff.
Good evening. I'm Kathleen Brackey. I'm the Deputy Director for Boulder County Community Planning and Permitting and lead our transportation planning team.
Emma Fox, she, her pronouns, Deputy City Manager, City of Louisville.
Fahey, City Council, City of Louisville, she, her pronouns.
Brian Wong, City of Lafayette, City Council.
She, her pronouns, Lauren Folkerts, and I'm also, I'm on Boulder City Council. Counselor.
We had a retreat. Welcome. Well, we're actually right on time, y'all. So thanks for the patience. Thanks online for letting us know. And if there's other audio issues as we go along, please don't be shy. So again, if you didn't hear that, Nick sent out the agenda 2 weeks ago and then on Thursday. So you're looking for Nick Robles. Thank you in your emails. So we are here from 6 to 8. We're going to try and take a break around 7 just to give people an opportunity to get seconds and or first or anything else that you need to do or visit and catch up. So we're going to have first our transportation tax update presentation. And I had on my agenda about 20 minutes or so. So if that is still correct. And if that's helpful, just to keep us on time together. And so I want to introduce Kathleen Brackey, who's our Deputy Director of Community Planning and Permitting in our transportation department, and Christine Obendorf that we just heard from as well. So take it away.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here this evening and to be in person. We've done this so many times virtually, so it's nice to be here with you all. So also with me this evening is Christine and also Colton from Public Works. So we'll tag team a presentation, and please ask questions as we go along. So I'm going to hope that this works. Does it work when I tested it? There we go. Okay, so this was just some of the information we wanted to cover this evening, just an overview of the Boulder County Transportation Sales Tax, the extension that was passed by the voters 2022, an update on some of our current projects, and then wanted to make sure we have time for question and discussion. So I'll jump in real quickly, and I always want to start this presentation by saying thank you, because it's so important that we have this transportation funding for Boulder County because of all the communities and all of the voters. And so we're very, very appreciative. This is our, what I call our bread and butter funding for transportation. It's so foundational to all the work that we do, and it allows us to work together with all of the communities across Boulder County to partner on projects and leverage these dollars. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all the years of the funding. And in particular, the vote in 2022 passed by over 80% of the vote. So we were very thankful for that and very appreciative. And it really helps us to now have this funding in perpetuity. In the past, it had been sent for a specific number of years, and now we have this ongoing source of funding. So it's really important that we're good stewards of this funding and we live into the expectations of the community members and the voters for the transportation sales tax. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Christine to cover the next couple of slides.
Thank you, Kathleen. And yes, I wanted to reiterate that thank you. As you could see on that previous slide, there's a lot of things that, and this slide combined, that the sales tax has contributed to. And it's just exciting to say that we have 97 miles of new shoulders, and that's really more bikeable shoulders. We've improved 13 intersections, added 23 miles of regional trails, and so many more on the horizon as well. Increased up to 9 transit services and programs, have 3 bridges that we've been able to accomplish through this, as well as add 6 pedestrian underpasses, which are crucial to our pedestrian network. And, you know, kind of touching on this, what is the funding for between Kathleen's group at Community Planning and Permitting and my group in Public Works? We have a lot that we cover. Here at Public Works, we really hit the roadway safety and resilience projects, which are compiled of the road shoulders, the flood resilience, creek restoration, intersection safeties, mountain road repair. And with that, I'll let Kathleen expound upon all the exciting things that the funding is for on her end of the.
Sure, and the idea is that, oh, thanks, Christine. There's a little bit of a delay, so I did. But thanks for that information. And really, when we look at all the different types of projects for transportation that this funding goes to, it's really creating a network of mobility. And it's how all of these projects work together. The roadway improvements for safety, our mobility programs, particularly that focus on vulnerable populations across Boulder County, our regional corridors that are all multimodal in nature and again connect our communities across the county, the regional trails and bikeways, and then our transit services and programs. So it's meant to fund this breadth of services and projects that really fit together and support people being able to travel by all modes of transportation. When the ballot item went forward in 2022, it's when we created these 5 categories for funding and also created this project list. And the project list was really identified through working together with all the communities to say, yes, this funding is in perpetuity, but it's not just a blank slate. It's around having an idea and a framework for projects to go to work on specifically for the first 15 years. So that's the project list that's highlighted there, and it's on our website, it's in the packet as well. But the idea is so that we can start to look at, how do we have projects that go across Boulder County, all of the different communities, different types of projects, and really be able, again, to round out that expectation and have a framework to go to work on, so that we're coming out of the gate in a strong position. I should have mentioned on one of the earlier slides, the sales tax extension that was approved in 2022 actually goes into effect this year. So it was funding beginning in 2024 going forward. Up through 2023, we were operating under the prior transportation sales tax. So again, we want to be very open and transparent about the funding and where it is all coming from and going to. So, and I don't know, so some of these projects, again, similar to what Christine shared from prior years, but these are looking forward. What are the projects in that first 15 years of improvements? And Christine, is there anything you'd like to add on this slide?
No, I think it just gives the numbers, quite the bang of numbers there, what we have in store for us, and I can list a little bit more in the upcoming slide.
Okay, great. And the funding for the transportation sales tax generates approximately $9 million per year. So it's not a huge amount of money, but the idea is that we're leveraging the dollars and a little bit here and a little bit there, and we go after grants together. And that's how we really create that long list of projects we were just looking at. The other information I wanted to touch on is kind of how do we help create that 15-year list of projects. We looked at a variety of factors, including safety, including cost effectiveness. We looked at social equity. We looked at, again, covering the county. But one of the new things we also did was look at emission reduction and emission benefit. We all share the goals around improving our air quality. So how do we look at these projects and prioritize projects that are going to help us accomplish cleaner air, as well as help reduce our greenhouse gas emissions? The other success story that I like to highlight with this funding is on this slide. It might look like a lot of numbers, but the bottom line is just over the last few years, 4.5, 5 years, we've been able to take about 2.8 million in Boulder County sales tax funding and turn that into over $83.6 million in funding. There's actually an additional 17 million that we were able to receive in the prior Dr. Cog tip cycle. So when I look at the math holistically, when we're looking at less than $3 million in Boulder County funding, generating 100 million in regional benefit for transportation, it's a huge return on investment. And we wouldn't be there without all of you, because it takes all of these partnerships to create the grant applications, to persevere and apply again and again and again in some cases. But this is the result, and you can see the impact that it has. So we want to make sure that we continue that great history of leveraging all of these dollars. So Christine, I'll hand it back to you to talk about some of the current road safety and resilience.
Thank you. And I just wanted to add, Kathleen's group and her staff, in conjunction with reaching out to staff at your communities and agencies, they really do work hard on those grants. And it is really, really kind of neat to see how much success they're achieving. So thank you to all of you for putting in that effort for those grants. So as I was saying before, my end of the county, we work on the road safety and resilience projects. So this year we're supporting Lafayette and Longmont with 2 of their projects. And I know that Lafayette has had some bumps in the road with their South Boulder Road widening, but I think the end is in sight there. We're getting ready to kick off the improvements for Longmont's East Colline Road from Slot to St. Vrain Creek, as well as 95th Street reconstruction. That's one of the projects that the county is not partnering with anybody other than a funding source from Mile High Flood District. And coming soon to a place near you, there will be closures on that road. But closures is a sign of things improving. So we're widening the shoulders there and improving the structures. And there's also an intersection that's associated with this project, but separate, that will be also forthcoming. So those are some highlights this year. And then next year we have upcoming another big project. We actually were planning on starting it this year, but we've delayed it because of all of the people that are trying to get through 120th Street and South Boulder Road in Lafayette, between Willoughby Corners and Lafayette's project and this one. Give a little bit of a preview and we'll hit that road running next year on the bikeable shoulders and improvements for 120th Street. And then we're also going to be making some huge improvements on East Colony Road by adding a roundabout at Quicksilver to Pike. That's also known as the intersection with Weld County Roads, Larimer County Road 20 and a half. And they are one of the funding partners for that as well. And then, you know, we're always working on design and getting things ready for years to come. Some big ones coming up with 61st Development intersection. And then helping Longmont with their Highway 66 widening, we're helping them with their design on that. And then also, you know, as you build, or the things you have and the things you are building, you need to have maintenance. So we have those multi-use paths and bus stop maintenance. And I put a picture in here that I thought was pretty fun. This is in the center bottom. This is the replacement of the Hygiene Road culvert for the Foothills Reservoir. And our first users of the road, quote, when the boxes were back in, was I know their last name, the farms out there, and I have lost their last name, but they were pushing their cattle across the boxes with their horses. So I thought that was pretty cool. With that, Kathleen, you have plenty of things to talk about with your planning.
Sure, thank you. So one of the other categories is regional corridors. So these are the projects, again, we work on together. I look around the room and see, you know, several of us just went to Washington, D.C. together with the Mayors and Commissioners Coalition to celebrate the funding for the 119 corridor, which is the picture in the upper right, but also to make that next ask for the RAISE grant for Colorado 7. And so by working together, we can advance these regional corridors, and we've been very successful in pulling down those big grants by doing it together. The other project that's on the list that is a high priority is US 287, particularly the safety improvements along that corridor. It is a high crash corridor with fatal head-on collisions occurring north of Longmont, and also in the section between Longmont and Lafayette, the rural section. So we're working very hard with the communities, with CDOT, and to find additional grant funding, either through the state or federal funding, to help complete RAISE medians along 287 to help prevent those crashes. There we go. And then South Boulder Road is currently happening. And that current project, a visioning project, is being led by Dr. Cobb. Should I stop talking?
Okay, keep going.
Okay, I will keep going.
Thanks.
Yeah. So the other important projects that we're working on a regional scale include the trails and bikeways. So there's projects that are moving forward for construction this year. We were just out in the field today working on the 119 commuter bikeway between Longmont and Boulder, and getting ready for that project to move forward to construction later this year, along with all of the other multimodal improvements there. But also working on planning and design for the other trail systems. So the Boulder to Erie Trail that we call BERT is in the master planning process. And then we're also working on an important regional bikeway connection for safety between Lyons and Boulder along US 36, that North Foothills Highway. So we, again, similar to the roadway side, we're looking at which projects are moving forward to construction and which projects are coming up behind that for planning and design. And then as we're doing the planning and design, how are we able to then go after grant funding to bring those to fruition? 5 minutes. Okay, I'll go even faster. So we have a lot of transit services that are also funded through the transportation sales tax. Again, local services, on-demand service for vulnerable populations, and inter-regional service, which is the Flex Express between Boulder and Longmont and Loveland and Fort Collins. And then a really important aspect and a new aspect of the transportation sales tax extension is providing funding for our transportation mobility programs. And these are the direct services to people on a daily basis to help them get from where they are to where they need to go, working with ambassadors, working on past programs, and really providing that one-on-one assistance to help people. So there's a lot of information available on our website about the transportation sales tax, the project list. One of the things that would be very helpful, I'd like to ask this evening, if you can be thinking about for the projects that are joint projects with local communities, if you have a time frame in mind for those, please let us know. The example that I'll use is the town of Superior reached out recently to let us know that there's a project that's identified local matching sales tax, and they're looking to do that project in 2026. And having that lead time is really helpful because we need to look at how we're mapping out this funding over multiple years and making sure that we can get all of those projects covered. Obviously, we can't do 15 years of projects in 1 year, so we have to forecast them out. So that would be a request to please look at the list online and let us know if you have projects coming up in the near term that we can factor in. So that's all we have.
Great. Thank you, Kathleen. Thanks, Christine, for being here. And Colton?
Yes.
Okay. Who has questions? And just as a reminder, this is our annual update on our transportation regional plan. And for those of you who are newer to this conversation, Consortium of City approved and continues to have a set of eyes on this particular plan and that 15-year exhibit that Kathleen shared about. So who's got questions?
Do we partner with RTD in transportation? I'm curious. I've had some people in Louisville rather requesting that we have another RTD transit stop at 36 and County Road. No, the between Louisville and Boulder. And countryside, the one that goes all the way from 36 up to Arapahoe. And anyway, so that people could come down. A lot of people are diverting off 36 down McCaslin in Louisville to get to South Boulder Road to enter Boulder. And if they could continue and get off in between Louisville and Boulder, it wouldn't impact Louisville.
Okay, that's a new one for me. I haven't heard that particular request, but we do work very closely with RTD and local communities on the transit planning. That's stops, the corridor planning work, identifying the station location. So that's one I could take back to the staff team and ask about. But we do a lot of partnerships work with RTD.
Okay, thank you.
Is it South Boulder Road? Gonna be that one?
Well, it's a road that goes between 36 and South Boulder Road. So if there were an exit at 36, they could get off on this road. County line?
Yeah, and if it's a new intersection with US 36, then we would also need to bring in that on that. That's a whole other level of work, getting the new interchange. But there is a process for that, so but I can bring that back to the
Okay, I'll see if I can find the name.
Yeah, that's great. I wonder if transportation folks, if you could put your contact information in the chat, and that way folks that have questions can just follow up directly with Kathleen or Christine or
I will do so.
Christy Harrison.
Thank you. I just wanted to get clarity and confirmation in regard to the intersection for 119 and 7. All of the construction work there is attributed to the regional corridor work, correct?
The current construction.
The current construction there, is it attributed to that ongoing, to that work, or is it strictly more local in nature?
It's more local in nature at this point. There'll be more of the construction improvement on Colorado 119 and Colorado 7 coming up, but there is some work on Colorado 7 that's happening sooner. Colorado 119 work begins towards the end of 2024, 2026.
Okay, all right. And then from your perspective, how's the planning and design going for the BERT from Erie to Boulder?
It's going very well. We've had the public outreach over the last few months, received a lot of input from the public on the alignment. alternatives, and our goal is to bring the master plan forward for the Boulder County Commissioners' consideration this summer. So we're really excited about that project. It's been a long time coming. I keep saying we're in this landing pattern. We're coming in early.
Yes.
Way overdue. So yes, very excited about that one.
Well, I appreciate all the work you're doing and working with us on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a comment. I am so impressed by Boulder County's trail system, and it is insane. I come from Australia, but you know, I've been all around America, and it's nuts. It's just the most amazing town, and I'd love to see that you've got more trails planned than anything else. You know, miles of trails. It is, you know, it's a model, you know, county, and I'm grateful for all whoever's writing those grants is doing a great job. It is really impressive and a model for other.
Okay, well, thank you very
The
much.
rest
And
of the
again,
world,
it's all of us
honestly.
together.
Great. Well, this is, so appreciate all of you for being here and sharing the information, and the presentation will go out in the recap of tonight's meetings, along with any other additional documents that people have as we're talking this evening. So on the agenda, the next couple items, I just want to check in with folks. The next item that we have is scheduled is to do a tour, and we've got the Works program team here with us. And so I was thinking about maybe swapping topics, but we're going to want to have some more conversation time on minimum wage. And so I don't want to then have a cutoff time and not be able to move into the program how we were thinking. So folks online, I won't be carrying my laptop around, but you get a break from 6:30 to 6:50 or 7. So we hope that you'll come back for the minimum wage conversation. And the plan is then at 7 o'clock for us to go into the local minimum wage presentation discussion. Everybody had two questions that were sent out to them to bring back information from your councils, from your commissions, et cetera. And then there's some updates that the team has on the minimum wage. So that's the plan. And then the very last piece will be just updates from different communities about projects you're working on or events, et cetera. So that is the plan for the rest of the evening from a timing standpoint. So we're on time. So I appreciate
We
that.
do have a 10-minute presentation if we want to do that now.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They want to see that because it kind of explains everything. Because when we're walking around, it won't be. And then we'll spend 20 minutes sort of just walking around. That helps.
Okay. No, that sounds really good. And we had you for 20 minutes total.
Oh, only 20 minutes total.
But
Well,
we can totally adjust to that.
So we did. So
So stay on online. Hang on a minute.
The other 10 minutes, is that to see the entire building?
You have 20
or-
minutes to do a tour.
Okay, sure, right. We will do a 10-minute quick tour.
No, we'll do, you can do 20-minute for tour. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah.
So do you want me to do that? And looks like it's easier to sit down because then they won't be able to see me from that.
That's totally fine.
From the front, they'll see my back. All right, so let me share my screen. Can you all hear me okay? Online? Okay, because they do have these microphones everywhere that are supposed to, if the microphones aren't working in this new building, we're gonna get our money back, I think. Okay, I can't get to my slide thing because there's too many buttons in front of me. Just move that away. Hold on. I can't get to this actual slideshow. Hold on. Let me just.
You can see it on the screen up there.
Can you? Yeah. Oh, can I see it on the screen? Yeah. 'Cause I can't see it on here. Slideshow. Okay. All right, so we'll make this quick and painless. So we are the harm reduction program for Boulder County. We are the third oldest program in the nation. This program has been around 35 years, which is amazing. Started in 1989. And the goal of our harm reduction program is to reduce overdose deaths, decrease the incidence of HIV and hepatitis C, increase safe disposal of used syringes, reduce syringe sharing amongst people who inject drugs, reduce stigma around substance use, and connect people to services. So that's the goal of our program. Some of you have seen our program in more detail, but if you're new to this, this is best practice that's been around for a while, and we know that it works, and I'll point out a few ways that it works in a bit. So our program is, we basically have overdose prevention, education, and supplies. Has everyone heard of Narcan? Has anyone been in one of our trainings? I don't know if we've reached many people in this one, but we're available to train on how to use Narcan and overdose prevention. We offer harm reduction supplies, safer smoking and snorting equipment. We do HIV and hepatitis C testing and outreach. We go into the jail and do testing as well to the highest risk people in the community who need it. We provide referral to treatment and community resources, and we provide wound care kits and first aid supplies, which is really important with the xylazine that's out there now. That if people have heard of xylazine, it's a tranquilizer that gives people a lot of skin lesions, and our wound care kits are working really well. So overdose is the #1 cause of death in people under the age of 50 in the United States. People aware of that? People? No? So it's pretty serious right now. So harm reduction theory. So harm reduction is anything that reduces harm from anything that happens from the minute we're born and the minute we walk out the door in the morning. So it's toothbrushing, it's seatbelt wearing, it's safe sex, it's tobacco prevention, it's reducing risk from alcohol, anything that reduces risk from daily living, and public health has a role in many of those aspects, including vaccination, tobacco prevention. And so harm reduction theory covers a lot of different types of health issues. So it's using a spectrum of strategy, meeting people where they're at, trying to look at the conditions of behavior, including social determinants of health. And we try to keep people alive and encourage positive change in their lives. It recognizes that trauma affects behavior, and also recognize that depression and structural issues also affect behavior. So it's not just individuals' choices, but structural experiences. So in 2023, we served 1,747 unique individuals in 7,603 separate encounters. You can see on the front table up there, we hand out gloves and hats and warming supplies. We hand out food. Sometimes it's the only food people get for the day. It's not fancy. It's just snack bars and applesauce and, Ensure and some water. But about half of the people that we serve are unhoused, and we also hand out wound care kits and a lot of resources. We hand out syringes, although that's going down a lot. We've handed out more pipes, and that actually, by smoking substances instead of injecting, you actually reduce the risk of overdose. So people are sort of switching to that, and we're hoping that helps, except one pill, a fentanyl pill. People don't know what's in it. That's pretty dangerous. We had 76 successful overdoses reported, but that is probably the tip of the iceberg. We think a lot more people are successfully using naloxone or Narcan, and they don't report it to us. So we think 76 lives are worth it, because everyone that we provide services to is somebody's loved one. So we keep them alive at such time that they either can get treatment, or just, if people continue to choose to use, we just keeping them alive. And so we really value our participants. We have done, we've handed out fentanyl test strips, now xylazine test strips we're handing out. And we conducted 78 HIV tests and 74 HCV tests. We're still kind of recuperating from COVID, because that year the jail closed down multiple times, but we are expanding our testing as well. And Boulder County AIDS Project does a lot of testing. Anyone has any questions, stop me. Marta, you look like you were going to ask a question.
Yeah, you read my face. The question that I had, let me see, I was taking notes. These 1,747 unique individuals and then the 7,000 is that Boulder County wide?
Yes.
Is that, and can you share, or you probably will on the tour, but where else can someone walk in the door and get services from Boulder County?
Yes. So we have a site in Longmont, which is 5 days a week. We've just opened, since the building's open, we're opening 1 day a week here. We have 24 hours at Mental Health Partners at Airport Road. And Boulder County AIDS Project in the downtown area has 5 days a week in the afternoon.
And those are all part of Boulder County Public Health?
They're all either, or they're subcontractors with us under our program. Yeah.
Okay.
We're the only ones really doing harm reduction in this way. Yeah. Yeah.
And the outreach.
And we do street outreach, and I'll talk about that in a bit. We go out into the streets and meet people where they're at who might not come into where we are.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
a lot of street outreach, a lot, because we reach out, yeah. Not everyone wants to come into that yucky old building that looks formal and thinks it's safe to come in, so we meet people where they're at. It's not a yucky old building, it's a lovely building, but it's a government building that people are like, they might have had bad experiences.
I have a question
Yes.
on that same stat. Is it less unique individuals and more encounters? Because it is sometimes the case that the same individuals
Yes.
might have.
Yep. So, and then the other question people might have about that is that in terms of syringes that we collect, there are a lot of places that we send people to dispose of their syringes. So that it's not the same. We're not one for one. But in terms of the syringe, waste in the community, Public Works in Boulder picks up like 50 syringes a year just loose. They pick up about 50,000 in containers that they distribute to the unhoused before they notify them to go on. And then we give them those containers. We've got a program now where we collect it and all that stuff. But they don't see a lot loose. I know people on next door are like, they're everywhere. Now, we do syringe litter walks every week. We go out if anyone calls us. We don't see piles of them. Now, in other counties where they don't have programs like this at campgrounds, they have piles like this of syringes. We don't have that here because we have all of these disposal.
And we have them like on the outside of buildings. And
Yes, we have them on the outside of buildings, at Airport Road and Longmont. We're going to put one in here. We just set up something with Longmont Housing Authority to put
so
them in all the
you're
buildings.
saying literally just you cross the county line, Weld counties, and some of the encampments in Weld County.
I'm talking more about like Chaffey County. They've come up to visit our program so they can establish something because they're finding piles of syringes in campgrounds. Yeah. So we've had about 3 other counties visit us to set up their program because they just don't know what to do with.
Now the pipes, are they, of course, they're reusable and that type.
They're glass pipes, so individuals can have them and not share them. And then they get their own pipe to cover. So yes, you can see a picture of them.
The one in orange or the brown one?
Yeah, you can pass it around.
And you're at 10 minutes. So
I'm at 10
I'm not
minutes.
gonna stop it. Just wanted to get.
Okay. Let's see the next slide. All right, so we have laws that cover these programs. We've got some cards up there that have the laws. They're covered by state law. So, and people are immune from prosecution for carrying paraphernalia, but they still, if they're carrying substances, we don't cover that. And people carry their card, blah, blah, blah. You don't get in trouble for using naloxone or staying with someone and calling 911. And if you've got substances on you, unless you've got a big caseload of fentanyl, in which case you will be prosecuted. Let me just see. We do have funded partners in our program. So we fund the jail to do treatment. We fund Recovery Cafe to do recovery. So we're not just harm reduction. We're meeting people in all the different places that they are. Mental Health Partners is a 24-hour syringe access program that does not exist anywhere else in the state. So we're pretty lucky to have a 24-hour site. And we do lots of things. We do fixed sites, street outreach, testing, case management, professional and community education. Karina's our bilingual, bicultural, Spanish-speaking educator. We have syringe disposals at Longmont Housing. We have a substance use advisory group. We will coordinate with community. We're on all these amazing groups that work together. And we have partners. And we're looking at doing vending machines. Our first vending machine in the state will be here in this building that has complete harm reduction supplies. We're doing syphilis rapid testing. We just signed a contract to get free supplies from the state. And we're looking at doing drug checking. There's legislation that's going through right now, and we hope to do drug checking. That will really help people identify stuff and not lie on the spot. And last 2 slides, people who use syringe access programs are 5 times more likely to enter treatment for substance use disorder than people who don't use them. So when people connect with us, they when they're ready, once they don't die, we keep them alive and we connect them to services. It's pretty cool. And this is a quote, somebody was in Utah, they couldn't get an HIV test to save their life. The level of guilt and shame they felt made them use more. They like coming to Boulder because it's out in the open. They don't have to hide. They've got a safe place to go. And then this guy went into treatment the next day. So, you know, this program isn't everywhere and it really makes a difference. So we love it when other counties come and learn from us and then they take it back into the rural areas. And it's really, it's great to see that it's, if you look at the map of where they are, they're spreading off of I-25 corridor to more rural areas. That's it. Questions?
Any questions?
Yeah.
What's in the vending machine?
What will be in the vending machines is everything that we hand out. So people will have a code to access it. They'll be our participants, but there are other kiosks around that we're working with mental health partners that has just naloxone and fentanyl test strips. So the problem is we don't have enough staff to be out here, you know, 5 days a week. So people will be able to come 8:30 to 5 and come and use the vending machine. And that's best practice. It's being used in all around the country. So it's very efficient and it's great. I'll show you where it's going to be.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, good. How involved are you with the public libraries?
Well, so we're looking at, getting kiosks in there and doing Narcan training as well. We had trouble getting into Boulder Library. They didn't want us. And now some stuff has happened and now they're open to it. So we're really excited about that. The issue is that the funding for the supplies, there's a funding cliff happening at the state level. So the supply of Narcan is, our constant issue is funding the supplies that we hand out. Yeah.
I'm a Boulder Valley high school teacher here at Monarch, and they have not said, hey, here's a Narcan training or anything like that. Just so
you're in BVSD?
Yeah.
So all the nurses and your first response
Okay,
teams
I
have all
didn't
been
know.
trained in it.
'Cause normally they would say like with EpiPens and stuff like that. That's why I was a little surprised.
We would like all the teachers to be trained because what if you're not, 2 or 3 minutes?
Well, yeah, I was just at a conference with 3,800 students.
Yeah.
And I don't know what some of those kids might be trained.
And you don't have much time. If you want to advocate, talk to the people at BVSD, like the nursing people. Jordan Godot. Yeah, like we recommend best practice that everybody's trained, and that's why last year we did like 7. We were only supposed to do like 9 trainings a year. We did 78 trainings, no advertising, because everybody, and these all professionals who are frontline working with anyone who might overdose, which is like most of the community at this point. And so the training is essential to everyone. And the cool thing is everybody gets on board and everybody wants to be ready. We trained Boulder Homeless Shelter, and then 2 months later they used it to revive someone. And they said, if you hadn't have trained us, we wouldn't have had it. We wouldn't have known what to do. That would have been a life loss. So we are so excited that everyone wants to learn about it. And we've had an amazing supply from the state to be able to hand this out in training. So if you want to ask for it, I think all the teachers should be trained, because you never know if you're the one finding them in the bathroom and you need to know where it is because you've got minutes. So
Thank you. Thank you. So, and I just want to acknowledge some of the one-on-one conversations that I had with everybody. I think almost everybody in the room, from elected and online. This was one of the asks. Like, we need to know more about what Boulder County actually has or offers or doesn't. So you all come in here to do a tour and see and be able to tell your constituents and talk about it with your colleagues, et cetera. It's going to be really helpful to get the word out. And so this is what we wanted to highlight this program first. So for folks online, we're going to be on a tour and our break until 7:20. And so that'll be our tour and our break as well here for folks to eat and do all that stuff. So we hope you'll join us again here in a minute for the minimum wage conversation. And thanks for the patience, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if anyone wants training, I do think I've stocked up on my business cards. We're in the email. If anyone wants training, let us.
Yeah, and we'll have people can ask questions as we tour
Yes.
around. If anybody needs to stay and work on something else, we'll call. You're welcome to.
Come back.
All right, so I think we're good. Can we have somebody online maybe just give us an update on the audio, make sure that we've got everything reconnected?
We can hear you just fine.
You're good.
Speaking right into the mic.
Great. All right, so next we're going into our local minimum wage presentation discussion. There was 2 questions that were sent out, so just in case somebody needs a few minutes to prepare. The first one was, what are you hearing from your community? And the second one is where are you at currently? Your jurisdiction's conversations related to living or to minimum wage. And that might be timeframe, January 2025, January 2026, et cetera. So those are the two questions people can think about if you need a few more minutes. And so thank you. I'll turn it over to, I don't know who's going to speak first, but Taylor, I think you had the presentation.
I'm getting there. Poor Taylor.
Yeah.
I think I'll give the bulk of the presentation, but Councilmember Forkloops, did you want to say anything before I kick it off? I can also just go.
I think that would be great. I mean, I guess thank you all for participating with us in this effort. It's been really great to have, all the staff support from a variety of communities so that we can really do so much more than we can do alone. I think it's been a really great. I would love to see us do this in more endeavors in the future. I really loved being able to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, big thanks to Lauren, who's just as a staff for City of Boulder. Having Lauren as our council champion has been just really made the difference for how this could grow to be. This started in the consortium, so it's very nice to be back and sharing with some new faces and some ones that were part of this when it began. We've done other things like this, like the gun violence prevention suite of ordinances that were passed a couple years ago. The consortium is just a great place for us to come together and work on issues of mutual concern. Meg's here is the new assistant city council. So this is the role that I served in before. So careful for her. A position like this is dangerous. She's very talented, and she might just create a whole bunch of work for you guys, like we've done here. But the regional minimum wage project has been happening. It'll be 2 years in May since the working group through the consortium formed. There was about a year that started of coalition building, figuring out what is this enabling legislation, like how might we act on it jointly. And then for about the last 7 or 8 months, our team of 5 cities represented there on the screen, Longmont, Boulder, Erie, Lafayette, and Louisville, have had staff representatives in on scoping teams to both scope the 2 next steps that came out of council conversations, which was community engagement, and then the third-party economic analysis, as well as implement those next steps. And so if you can go on to the next slide. Yeah, that one right there. So the one, oh, never mind. Just wanted to highlight the organizations and cities on this slide have been part of those scoping teams. So we've had community representatives from chambers of commerce and nonprofits, labor groups, representing different voices to help us design engagement opportunities, the scope for the RFP for the consultant. That's a work that's underway right now. And I just wanted to give a tremendous thanks to the individuals in those teams, Jonathan Singer, Morgan Royal, Carla Collin, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some folks. Yes, Ana Fernandez, Frank, of course, how could I forget her? They've just been great community partners in helping guide this work. Oh, and then of course the staff in the room. So Sama has been on the staff team. I think Alex was online. This is just to outline, this is more of a community graphic to help folks understand one of the questions that we've been getting a lot when we ask folks, how do you feel about minimum wage? Folks say, well, it is minimum wage. And this helps demonstrate that while there are a couple of communities in Colorado that have acted on the new authority to raise minimum wage, most of the state falls in the state minimum, which is 1442. The 5 cities there that are in blue with the little magnifying glass representing our collaborative effort. Go to the next slide. And if you could increase that, that's rather small. Yeah. So I wanted to bring a couple of updates on next steps. Right now, it's a little bit of a calm before the storm, even though a lot of our staff are tremendously busy with engagement activities, and there's been a host of opportunities throughout the county for folks to share their voice. There is also a bit of a calm before the storm before we get into how do we report out on all this information, how do we bring council presentations forward, and then what happens after that. One of the things I wanted to share with folks is that based on what Boulder County did last year, raising the minimum wage for unincorporated county and chatting with our attorneys, we don't believe an IGA is actually going to be necessary should cities want to move forward with a joint action. The IGA was a mechanism recommended through the state legislation for that joint effort so that we didn't hit that 10% cap that is in the legislation, where only 10% of cities can adopt a minimum wage that's different than the state. Anyways, we don't believe that that's necessary because what Boulder County did, any city making an action would essentially fall under the Boulder County umbrella and not count in that 10% calculation, which was essentially what the IGA was mostly for. That means that we can continue to move forward and there are still opportunities to collaborate, but we more so now kind of go on parallel processes. And should there still be a desire for communities to collaborate on a joint ordinance, it's just a matter of making sure that attorneys are talking to each other and we have similar language when we go to pass ordinances. So just letting folks know that when we look at the timeline here, when we see the yellow bar, that's the consultant work happening now, sessions and questionnaire, that first blue bar, that's where we're at currently. It's when we would get to that orange public hearing and decision, like around those two orange bars, that we'd want to bring our attorneys together if we move forward, if multiple cities were to move forward with the joint ordinance. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is just that Boulder has currently scheduled their study session on July 25th. We've backed this timeline out such that it gives room for us to communicate any decision to the community and the public hearings and all of the many things. There's many things that aren't on this timeline. All that to say, we believe it would be the most supportive for the process for these study sessions to be scheduled in July. Right now, Boulder is the only one that's scheduled our study session to just hear the findings from the engagement work and hear the findings from the consultant and seek direction from council on whether or not we would like to move forward with an ordinance, and if so, how. So one of the asks to the group today is just if you could check with your staff and make sure that it's just on their radar. I have let staff know. And I think Boulder's a little different than other communities. We plan our agendas out really far in advance. So some teams just aren't there yet with thinking into July, but make sure that it doesn't, we've seen this now with the IGA for the cost sharing, for the consultant work. We've seen this with the original conversations, getting 5 council study sessions scheduled, like in a very strategic, timely manner is really hard. So flagging that one. We've had multiple pieces of information go out. There's been videos in English and in Spanish, a lot of different kinds of materials, and then different kinds of opportunities. So always just encouraging folks for especially elected officials on the line, boosting those posts and maybe sharing anything shared by your city government, or if you want to share something on your own, let me know. I'm happy to supply. We have several pieces of branded materials to help get the word out. We've got about 12 days left in the current engagement period. So we're just racing to make sure that everybody who is impacted by this decision has a chance to share their voice. Any questions on this timeline before I move to the next slide?
So you mentioned that for this engagement period, that's closing in 15 days. I think it would be great just to share out what that is to make sure we all know about the link that we can send people to if they want to fill out a survey.
Oh, like what are the options to engage?
Yeah.
Yes.
In case people want to share that out with their own communities.
Yeah, so there's in-person sessions that we have scheduled. And actually, if you go to the next slide, I can share out a link. These are the questions that we're asking folks in an open form way. There's like close-ended questions that are part of the questionnaire. It takes about 5 minutes to complete, and it's in Spanish and in English. And I can follow up, Nick, with materials after the meeting. There's QR codes to easily take you to that questionnaire. And then if you really want to come and chat and have an in-depth discussion about the impacts, positive, negative, what else?
And is this just for Boulder or Boulder County?
So the 5 cities participating.
Okay, okay, yeah.
And there's some sessions being hosted in Boulder, Longmont, and is it Lafayette that we're going to tomorrow?
Louisville tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, we're going to Louis. We have a session tomorrow night in Louisville and then Lafayette, and then Erie's also doing some tabling to engage. But the next slide is actually the one I wanted to bring folks to. This is just a quick update on numbers. This is as of like 5:30 today. There have already been 10 sessions hosted in person and virtually. The vast majority of these sessions do have interpretation, either led in Spanish interpreted to English or led in English interpreted to Spanish. Some of these sessions have also had supervised childcare services provided. So we're trying to offer a lot of flexible ways that people can attend different locations, different times of day. Over the last 10 sessions, we've had about 115 participants, and they're focus group sessions. So it's really dialogue rich, in-depth conversation. And what's been really great about these is that over the 90 minutes that we spend together, we've been finding that people, they have a lot to say, but by the end of the 90 minutes, their conversations are kind of coming to a close for the most part, and people really feel heard. And I think that's one of my biggest takeaways. There's a lot of different comments, there's a lot of different perspectives, but I think it matters to me the most in the way that we've planned it, that people leave feeling heard. We have seen a high representation of restaurants and small businesses, but there are parts of the community we know we're not hearing from. So we've been implementing some additional strategies to try to do some direct outreach with them. We have convened an in-person team of folks who, and this is City of Boulder now I'm speaking to, this isn't the regional group, because to be clear, we had a sort of a standard engagement model that we all agreed on some high-level expectations for engagement, and then implementation was done at staff's discretion. You know your communities best, and so you've been doing, you meaning staff have been doing what they think is best to reach those voices. In Boulder, at least, we have an in-person, boots on the ground, good old bureaucracy touch points with businesses. We've approached a little over 200 businesses just to share these opportunities. Some folks are not on email, some folks are not on Facebook, and so showing up at their door and handing them a flyer is at least they can walk away with it thinking that their government invited them to say something, even if they don't actually engage. Like creating that good touch point is meaningful. Then the next one there is the questionnaire. So 687 and 32 of those being in Spanish are the number of responses we've gotten. Again, we've got 12 more days, so we're doing a lot of communications on like still chance to engage, last opportunity. So we'd really appreciate your support in that. Anything else I'm missing on that?
I was just going to mention, just from being online looking, it looks like there is a full calendar on the Boulder Colorado.gov website for people who are looking for questions. Okay, I was looking for that.
Yeah, there's a full set of dates. Some of them have already passed. There's only 4 more that are planned, but we have an updated website where we've sort of been taking off dates as they've passed because there's a lot of details. Is there another slide?
There is.
Okay,
It's just this.
that's just the graphic in Spanish. So the questions that we have for folks, again, reminding folks of the asks, and I think the best way for cities involved to support this effort is making sure you get your study sessions scheduled, and then helping us just boost the word for the next 12 days. And then our questions for you just are, what do you feel about what you're hearing tonight as an update? Any questions on that? What are you hearing from your community members? What are you hearing from your fellow council members? By the way, big shout out to Megs, who has been supporting this. Couldn't have done it without her.
Great. Thank you. This is an exciting update. Any questions for presenters before we go around the room, and then folks can share out where they're at and what they know from their councils or their trustees, etc.
2 questions. So I'm new to this whole thing. First, when you showed the map of the cities, why wasn't Boulder County included as a participant, I guess?
Could you share that again? So Boulder County is the yellow.
The yellow where? Oh, the whole square.
Well,
Oh.
the whole square is Colorado. This was a very hard graphic to make. All this gray here is Colorado. Our state, did us a favor by being just like a rectangle. Not a square. And then this yellow here is Boulder County. So you see the cutouts of Nederland, unincorporated Boulder County, Nederland, Ward, all those incorporated cities, and then they're the 5 in blue are the ones that are
So
in.
all of Boulder County isn't participating in this?
All of the cities or towns.
It's just the cities in Boulder County that are,
Oh,
these particular ones.
Just these particular ones are the ones. The way I understood the presentation, those 5 are the last, or the ones that are working on it right now together.
Okay.
Boulder, unincorporated Boulder County, of course.
Okay. All right. And then what's the drawback to actually having an IGA? Why wouldn't we do that?
I think it's just another piece of process that's not really necessary. I think that if we freed up just simply staff time if we can move forward and just make sure that our language is consistent and not have another piece of process to burden decision-making, to burden getting the work done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. All right, well then let's go around. We'll start online for folks just to get an update on those 2 questions. And Councilor Harrison, you're on the screen right now, so I'm gonna let you speak on Erie's behalf if you don't mind.
I don't have anything at this time, unfortunately, so I apologize.
That's okay. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
And then Mayor Rogan, are you available to just give your update? Okay. What about for Broomfield? Councilmember Delavadija, you're not one of the 5 cities, but I don't want to exclude anybody from the conversation in case you're having other conversations and talking about the topic in general.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate it. This did come up at our study session. And it is something that we're pursuing, not necessarily with you all. I know you got your process going on, but the idea was floated to pursue this with Adams County. So it is very exciting that sounds like we're going to be moving forward in some way. And I did let folks know that this is a hill I am willing to die on. So hopefully that'll happen at some point.
Thanks for that share out. That's great. And Mayor Rogan, I see your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Somebody rang my doorbell, so I wasn't sure if you called on me or not.
We were there at the door. But now we are calling on you. If you'd like to answer those 2 questions, that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you so much. So the previous board did not have an interest in taking this topic up. I believe the board that will be seated on April 15th may have an interest. And so what I'm hoping is to bring it up. In the meantime, I know our Economic Vitality Commission has it on their agenda to discuss, and our Chamber of Commerce just sort of reformed with a new executive director. So hopefully we can start having those conversations. And just like we lagged a little bit behind y'all for the gun violence prevention legislation, we may be lagging behind you all in this, but I am hopeful.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mines will be welcome whenever you want to join us. That goes for everybody. Everybody in the room, virtually or here in the room. Let's see, online. Ken? Jamestown's not listed as one of those 5 cities yet, but if you have any input that you'd like to share, we'd love to hear.
I don't. We just don't have enough businesses to be interested in doing something at this point.
Okay, Thank you. Thanks for being here. Oh, yeah, Superior, how about trustee Hammerly?
Hi, everyone. At this point in time, I'm going to be honest, this is not a high priority for the town of Superior. We got these couple of other things we're dealing with, like fire recovery, and then there's this little airport issue we're dealing with. They're sort of the top of our agenda right now. But I have reached out to the board, to our board, and said, hey, folks, I really think it would be at least valuable for us to possibly have a representative of the Consortia of 5 come in and talk to us. We have a pretty new board still. 4 of our 7 members are brand new to serving in, and I think it would be worthwhile for us to have the discussion so that we could at least really hear more about why this is important. I'm not sure we're ready to take any steps, but I think it's important that we create some awareness with our board. So I have had a conversation with the town manager, and hopefully we can get something on the agenda, at least to really talk about why this is important to our residents and to our businesses, because we all want to make sure that the employees in our town are treated well. So, not our top priority, but I'm hoping within the next 6 months to a year that we can have more conversations about it.
Thank you for that. Appreciate the update. And let's see here. Okay, I think we're to the room. How about Netherland?
I think it's a very similar situation. We had an election yesterday. New board is being seated, same night that Holly's will. So we'll get to it then.
Okay, that's great. Appreciate it. Good update. And Longmont?
Well, Longmont, every time we meet here, we then have, before our Longmont Housing Authority meeting, since we've taken over that, we have our meeting as a city council, and we talk about, the different boards that we're on and talk about, what's happening with them. And that has been, a lot of crickets chirping in regards to the response. I asked them, where they're at, and they're not coming back with me, with anything really significant. I know Sandy Cedars, participating in the group as a whole, and her report to me is that they've had 45 business owners participate in a focus group so far, 38 in English and 7 in Spanish, and no surprise, the smaller business and medium business community have said, that they've incurred a lot of costs in the last year, like paid family sick leave requirements, universal recycling ordinance, and other things like that, sort of stuff. And it's no surprise that some would say, they're going to take the marbles and go elsewhere, which we know that that's not going to be the case. The market's here, whether it's in Superior, Louisville, Lafayette, Longmont, the market is here. They go somewhere else, they will probably have a prolonged ailment and then die off, because they won't figure it out, because the market is wherever they had their business originally. We understand that, the economics of it in a general sense, that this is a good thing for labor. What we've had is really pretty much, and I'll just put it as bluntly as anything, we've had some, lazy, lame, arrogant, greedy, business owners that really didn't have maybe much business being in business. And they could have taken their fair share of an equitable portion of their fruits of their labor and everything, and taken that, but they wanted a little bit of labors too, is what it really boiled down to. And so now they're not willing to give that back to labor in the sense of that. My personal concerns are, as a career and technical teacher, I always think that we need to tie this to something so that we encourage more people to get certified and certificates. And it's even simple little things like if you're a gas station attendant, you're required to take a tips training, or if you work in some sort of other places like safe serve, about getting that type of certification, or whether it's be a lifeguard with the first aid, CPR, and lifeguard training, that type of thing. Those should be the things that we give a little bit more currency to, and in that way, people are encouraged to move forward with that. That's something I personally believe in, and so that's a issue that I understand. I've been told several times that that's not a part of this, but I really think it needs to be if we really want to get serious about it. Because the thing is that then we can say to the business owners, if you have these sort of things, that's what is going to say you have to abide by this new minimum wage requirement, and recognize that then people who are like bookkeepers and making $25 an hour right now need to have that $9 difference in their pay, that because it's not going to bode well with them if somebody who's just coming out of high school with no certification or anything is getting paid as well as they are. That's not going to be a thing that it's going to sit well with them. And I'm concerned because I'm also an association member with the Teachers Association, and I don't want to see labor be undercut by this. That's a big concern, and I don't know that there's been really many answers to my satisfaction in regards to that. And then the thing is that I absolutely, as a council member, have no tools in my toolbox for localized inflation. How to fix it? There is zero tools there, unlike at the federal level. And maybe we'll get that information when in your report from our folks about what we can do when that occurs. But the concern is that I do not want the only businesses left that will participate with this are the Walmarts, the Targets, and the large corporate entities. That is unacceptable to me. But that has been, we've heard of the Walmart effect in small business, in small communities, and how it undercuts the success of privately owned businesses. And so we have to figure that out first. As far as a vote, as putting it, I myself won't support anything less than a vote of the community. That's my line. It's going to have to go there because they have to have the buy-in, and I think we have to sell it to the community. I'm not going to use my political capital to do that.
Thank you. We have about 15 minutes. So, do you have a study session planned? Anything just?
Not that I know of. I'll ask Sandy about it.
Okay. That'd be great for the team to know. Okay.
Pleasure.
I'll defer to Brian on this
Okay.
one. He's been around longer. Also, tomorrow.
Okay.
Yep.
That's perfect. Thank you. I'll just just from Boulder County. So we are already obviously we started in January 2024, did some big marketing campaigns, sent out postcards to businesses in unincorporated Boulder County. Did bus, if you saw any of the bus advertisements. And I've met recently in the last 2.5 weeks, I think it has been, with the NIWAT Business Association. So I'm just going to share some of the questions that they're asked. I haven't met with our board yet, but sharing this conversation will give all the updates together to the board, that some of those businesses are asking for unincorporated Boulder County, so the Board of County Commissioners, to look at this analysis and the decision that the 5 cities and others potentially make for 2025, and consider, maybe depending on where people land on that number, to maybe consider
holding our number or making some kind of amendment to the ordinance that we have. So just to share that we're also hearing from small business folks. And I've done some presentations, of course. If you don't have the information about the small grants that we are doing for small businesses to while they work on their channels of adjustment in their small businesses, it's a grant up to $5,000 for businesses in unincorporated Boulder County. And there's a few pieces that they have to meet, but it's pretty broad and pretty general. So the reason I share that is for some of you who are hearing from small businesses like, this isn't functional, we need more time. That's, if you want that information, just so that you can look at it with your councils and your trustees to consider some ways to also respond. Happy to share that. All right, we'll keep moving over. Louisville?
Sure. So Louisville is one of the 5 cities. Our sessions are tomorrow and next week. We're partnering with Lafayette, and Boulder is actually helping with us with those best 2. We've got it on our council agenda for July 16th. I will say we've got a lot of things going on. So unfortunately, our comprehensive plan engagement is overlapping with the minimum wage engagement. While we have done a lot of push out, there has been some competition there. So probably impacting our results.
Great, thanks for that calendar. Just gives people an idea of what everyone's, because people are going to ask. They're going to be asking all of us.
I did know yours was July 16th, but I also heard it was tentative, so I didn't want to share it without permission. So thank you, appreciate it.
I will just add that I've heard arguments on both sides. Small businesses seem to be the ones that are most opposed to it. But also some residents who say, it's going to cost me more when I go to the restaurant, if you raise minimum wage. I'm curious about how much information we can get about how successful or how impactful Denver's raise in minimum wage has impacted their business community or their residents also.
I would defer maybe to Councilmember Folkerts on that, because when we started the conversation like 2 years ago, some of that data was shared and brought in for us to the 2022 consortium group when we were really looking at it seriously. So I know that data is there, and I know that people hold that information, but I don't want to commit for anybody.
Yeah, so the cities that enact, or the regions that enact this as part of the state law, the state economics department, I'm not giving.
CLE.
Yeah.
Colorado Department of Labor and Employment.
Does a report on the 1 year in sort of what the economic indicators show. Denver's 1 year in was during the first year of COVID. So that, data is always a little, especially economic data is always a little messy. There's always more than one thing going on. But I think that complicated for them. They've also, I think, last year they released an updated impact study because they wanted to sort of like adjust, like have cleaner data or another set to look at. So we can share that.
Okay. And I'll say that I did talk with one small business owner in Louisville who said, wouldn't impact me at all. I'm already paying my employees $20 an hour.
Yeah, thanks for that. And I'll just share that in 2021, when folks brought it to the consortium and we got it on the agenda for 2022, that was exactly what we were discussing, like who's even able to pay under $20 an hour at that time, because of, you think about the labor shortages. So thanks for mentioning that. Lafayette.
So I'm sure it's calendared because I know Katie does long-term calendar. So I'm sure there's already probably our workshop in July, I would imagine, but I can double check. And then as far as council has not really talked about it, we've just begun engagement with the Chamber of Commerce and their board of directors 2 weeks ago. So really on an engagement, and then looking forward to tomorrow night's meeting in Louisville, and then the meeting on the 11th at our library. So really looking for those 2 sessions to really hear feedback from our community.
Thank you.
Thanks. So I've had the opportunity to go to one of Boulder's engagement sessions. Taylor did a great job facilitating. That was with the Restaurant Association. And if you guys have a chance, I really recommend going. I mean, no matter what the conversations are, it's just great to kind of get the, more detailed, nuanced feedback from everyone. So, yeah, I would say early, we've been having these conversations for a long time, and I have been particularly trying to focus on the restaurant groups. And so it's interesting to me because for the 18 months that we've sort of been working on this, most of the time the feedback has been like, we don't even pay, like, we're not paying people anywhere near that, so it doesn't matter. But I would say that, at this engagement session, there was a lot more concern. I think restaurants have had they've seen prices going up in a variety of different areas. And so I think that, it is scary for them. I'm looking forward to looking at that grant program that the county's offering, and also to hear more about, what comes back from our economic analysis and our non-small business focused study groups as well. I will say that our council is really interested in moving forward with this. I think, again, everyone will want to hear sort of the full set of data and what gets shared out. But I would say that I think there is still a strong interest in moving forward.
Great. Thank you.
And if I could just also add a couple more comments, just from a staff perspective, I really gotta applaud every city staff. It's been incredible to work with Sama and Megan from Louisville, and Debbie and Alex from Lafayette, and Sandy and Francie from Longmont, and Stephanie and Alex, but now James from Erie. You have fantastic folks working for you, and we were asked to collaboratively study a regional solution. So we're really just focusing on getting people to the table and understanding the problem. And in that problem definition, I think that we've grown closer as a region, closer to understanding each other as people. So I just, if anything, have to thank folks for the opportunity to engage in that.
Thanks for saying that. That's great.
I had a quick question. So I know, and this has come up, especially when you mentioned restaurants, because I know part of the issue potentially here in Colorado is the amount of tipped credit versus like other states like California and New York, where you have a larger credit. Is there any movement to work to see if there's appetite in the legislature to adjust Colorado to help overcome that? Because I think when I think about the restaurants, that could be helpful if the state works to solve that problem, then it makes a little bit easier argument. But I know that's the largest argument I continue to hear from restaurants is when you look at the discrepancy between what other larger, more expensive are able to take as a credit and ours is so much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So I just didn't know if there was any talk about trying to encourage our legislators to take that up at the state house.
I haven't heard of any. Have you?
I know that, well, I don't know if it was introduced. There was some talk about adjusting specifically the enabling legislation for minimum wage to allow local governments to have the tip credit be less than or equal to or less than the state tip credit, which I don't know why you would do less than. You probably just eliminate it, if anything. The evolution of the tip credit and how it's caused deeper disparities between front of house and back of house is something that comes up a lot. And so there's three questions: what positive impacts, what negative impacts, what else? So that's not in our scope right now, is to like change the tip credit. And I don't think it'd get passed in this session quite yet. But I think that looking at it as a what else, right, because the minimum wage and addressing that was never a promise to solve the economic woes and address inflation. We knew it would create other problems, and that's why we asked what else, and that has come up a lot.
Okay.
I will say that older businesses, I have heard, are coming up with creative ways of dealing with that. You know, there is more, there are more businesses that I've seen doing tip sharing, you know, where it's more equitable between front of house and back of house to kind of try and deal with that, along with cost of living percentages on your check, like having a cost of living fee that's part of what they're charging for when you buy your goods and services.
There are some restaurants, at least in Louisville, that are charging a back of house tip fee. It just automatically comes up on your bill.
Well, I wonder about that, how you opened, Taylor, in regards to attorney read that there might not be that IGA required. Makes me wonder if a town or city did their own ordinance, if they, you know, they might do it differently than what Denver or Edgewater or Boulder County did. Because there are, like, there's a minor piece, there's a tip piece, but I think the question around legislators and what they might be working on was one of the first conversations that we have with the Boulder Chamber folks. And just that, you know, if people think that's where an adjustment needs to make to be able to pay people enough to live and work and thrive in Boulder County, in our cities and towns. And if that's the fix, let us know. Because I think people would want to advocate in that realm potentially as well. So I'm glad you brought that up. Great. We have 1 minute. Is there anybody that has a community event or an announcement that they need to share?
Minimum wage tomorrow. Also more, but like first one, next one's tomorrow.
Already shared on social. Just now. Anyone else? I just want to say thank you again to all the staff, because this is a lot of work, not just this project, but being part of the consortium. And I want to remind folks that the Regional Housing Partnership also came from this group. So we are doing some excellent work regionally, and I love your connect us even more so on some of the big topics that are coming up as well. So appreciate everybody being here. Thank you, Nick, for collecting slides and information and then sending out an update later. But just another reminder that Nick is is our contact and who's working from the policy team in the commissioner's office. So that's who you'll want to be in contact with, if not myself. And be looking for emails. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Online.
Thank you very much. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.